we're just trying to keep busy, still stay active, right? And I think one of the biggest things that I enjoyed the most creating was the podcast. So shout out to everybody that supported the podcast. It was so dope to see everyone's like Spotify recap, and then there's a section of like your shows, and a lot of it was the Beast Camp. So it was fun to partner with Rev with that, and we had our own setup at the Cypher spot with the mics, and that was just that was fun, man, because as you can see, I love to talk a lot, and I think I have a lot to say about certain things, and I think it's just the beginning, and having like my friends on there and people that really helped me out was just dope. And I remember like even having Slam there.
Nightmares. It's nightmares.
We made it so extra. We didn't even have the Zoom like premium, so every 40 minutes it kept cutting and stuff. And like Slam, he's such a G that he wasn't getting frustrated or gave up or whatever. Like we had to do it like 3 times, I think, and this was like at midnight because we're literally like 10 or 12 hours different in time. So we went to the studio like 12 midnight, and I was already dead because I had a meeting with Miho and stuff. And yeah, it was such a good experience. Something to laugh. I can't wait. Now that y'all can see that, you can see like I remember like some parts when Slam was talking and I was like in the couch and I was just like dozing off. I was like, yo, this isn't good. Like I hope Rev doesn't edit it to where like, he just sees me like dead. But yeah, the podcast was dope. I mean, we still want to keep it going. You know, we just got busy with other stuff, but it's just such a good revenue for me to speak, because I think in Krump we need any avenue to hear Krump. We see Krump a lot, but to hear about people's like perspective on things or whatever, especially in a more like professional manner instead of just a Facebook post, and words can get misconstrued because you can't hear tone or whatever. Yeah, so shout out to you guys for supporting the podcast. I remember one day it was super heavy, and I remember it was me, Rev, and Brandon, aka Street Beast X, and something happened, and we saw it on social media, and I remember I had to bring it up, and we had to dance like that night, and I remember it was the George Floyd thing, and I remember seeing that, and it was so heavy on my heart that I kind of asked them, the crew, like, did you guys see that? And I remember Street Beast X.
That was something that I took to heart because I was seeing my people hurt. I was seeing my people suffer. So, you know, all 3 of us have kind of joined together. We went to protests. You know, we've been spreading knowledge and education. I know I've been super big on spreading education and knowledge of local politics, and also some nationwide politics, and, you know, staying up to date with current events on the cases of you know, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and more, you know, because it's not just them 3, there's plenty more. You know, I've been trying my best to be like an anti-racism educator and just, you know, let people know like what the underlying issues are that are leading to this, because a lot of the problem is that people don't understand how we got here.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like, why is all this happening? Why are people going crazy now? This, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, if you do your research and your history and you look back, this, ever since.
Like, he had to dance it out. And when that whole thing started, I think it just created so much like awareness and so much like emotional like feelings towards what's been going on around us, like being in the inner cities and like being oppressed and all of that. And now that it's finally like getting that spotlight, and I think just everyone was like kind of seeing it. Some people were seeing it for the first time and hearing about that for the first time, and all of that was such an emotional thing, because, you know, this is stuff that we would talk about in like daily, or this is the stuff we would talk about. So that was a crazy turnaround for this year, and it was just dope for me, because I've been a part of like social justice groups since I was like 12 and all of that, and then when the camp members wanted to start going to the protests and show support and all of that stuff, I think it was just dope to do that as a camp and to do projects and to do discussions and to do podcasts and to bring people in to use our platform to use this to talk about, to basically talk about it. And shout out to everyone that anything they did, from donations to signing petitions, and especially if you're still spreading awareness now, and however you can, if it's through art, if it's through posts, if it's through sharing stuff on your story, like let's not make that awareness go down. Let's keep it going. And I think it was just such a crazy time when everyone just saw it happening in their face. And I remember my overseas friends were asking me like, is it as crazy as it is like on social media and stuff? And I was like, yeah, this is stuff that happens every day. This is stuff that happens when our friends would get pulled over, I would get pulled over, and stuff wouldn't seem fair. You know what I mean? So just shout out to everyone and for keeping safe and using their voice, using their platform. But we still want to keep showing support, awareness, and all of that. Break.
I had to ask not just myself but teammates, what are we doing to represent blackness? Are we culturally appropriating? Are we really representing dance, not just crump culture, but dance culture? Are we just doing the thing because it's a crump dance? Are we actively advocating a safe space? The really hard conversations, even within myself. Are we really advocating for this? Are we really making it a safe space? Are we really, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I think we had to change language a lot. We had to change the way we move. We had to present ourselves a lot more better. And it just really sucks that another black man that died, and really kind of for me to get it. At first it was Trayvon Martin, and then somewhere in 2018, I want to say, was one of my worst years of my life, where I just kind of stopped everything I was doing, outside of Krumper at least. And now it's kind of like, wow, what was I doing? So I think a lot of that really changed me and changed the camp. And I think like I said, we're in a really better space, man. We really like to have these conversations about race, politics, dancing, creating systems for dancers, how to reinvent ourselves, how to keep the love, the passion alive, how to still be raw Krumpers, but not have this undertone of verbal abuse behind it, have this undertone of physical abuse behind it, just being a lot more safer for the newers, and still being raw, still being buck as shit, mind you. So it's a very hard thing. It's a very, very hard thing. Yeah.
Quick thank you, shout outs, anything.
Shout out to everybody going through a hard time right now. With everything going on, from oppression to pandemic to all that stuff. I think that one thing that this time has shown me is that I'll say this. It's like the world has a way of showing that it's black and white. The world has a way of showing that it's black versus brown. The world is showing you that it's brown versus white or whatever it may be. But what I truly believe is that it's really good versus evil. And that right now it's showing that the majority of people that's going on right now is the good and the minorities is the evil. And I want people to know that people are doing a lot of time, self-reflecting and reading up knowledge and understanding about you know, the history of, you know, black folks or brown folks, whatever it might be, and trying to get more hip and yada yada yada. You know, that's all good. Clap it up, good, great. But the reason why this is still a predominant thing right now that's going on in 2020, because this shit has been going on since 1900s, 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, to so on, because what's happening is that this shit is being taught. So if you're not reading to understand and changing the dynamics in your own family first, because a lot of people's moms and dads and uncles and aunties are also prejudiced. I'm not gonna say racist, because racist is different. Prejudiced towards certain people of color, and you have to stop and educate your family on that. I know Filipinos go through it a lot, because in the Philippines they go through the same thing of dark, light, very strong.
So
Same thing in the Latino community, dark and light. So like, what I'm saying is that we have to take time to understand, like, when we speak on certain things, we have to understand that if you're gonna get knowledgeable, live by that and stand by that. Now, people of color who are out here who are reading this kind of stuff, like, you have to start telling your families, because that shit is being taught. It's sad seeing kids out here being taught these racist mindsets and prejudice mindsets, because they're being taught this, bro. You don't wake up and just wake up and hate somebody because of the way they look. But taking the time to really understand that it's really good versus evil, and a lot of things going on is surface shit. Take time, get into the nitty gritty of the blueprint, because America ain't this great place, man. It's not. People make it seem like it is, but it's built on, Lord, it's built on so many stuff, bro. It's crazy, but like, that's changing. That's changing so much right now that it's fucking ridiculous. Like, it's changing so hard right now, bro. A lot of evil shit is coming to light, and a lot of shit is coming through, showing us that what things truly are. So, just peace and love everybody who's going through this kind of shit that's going on. And educate yourself, get familiar, ask questions, and take the time to build that shit inside your home first, and then spread out. You know what I mean? Just, it's, to me, it's good versus evil, bro. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta understand that first. But yeah.
Please do that.